Welcome back or to the Great Couch, where we believe marriage and life really is not black or white, but really many shades of gray, and we get to explore those nuances here on the couch. So today, back from all our
Mother's Day,
Father's Day,
parenting. The last 2 months have been kind of on parenting, and if you know anything about our 4 C's framework, we have a 4 different C's, and parenting falls under the C of cradling. Yeah.
So good to be back on the couch, and it's summer here in the States, and more cradling, more parenting. So today I want to share with you some tricks, hacks that we normally use in the kitchen here to just stay sane. I call it taking our marriage back from our kids. Because if you know kids, they're a gift of God, they are a blessing, I love them, but they are time guzzlers. They're just black holes of time. And if you let them, they will come in between you because they want all the craving and all the attention and stuff like that. So, I mean, 3 little areas, real quick, 3 areas there where I have found that these kids come in, listen, and I've given them actor names, So the first one is who I call the Interruptor. Gang, Interruptor. And this one, say a deep in conversation, and this only happens when the conversation is very, very sweet, getting juicy. Child 2 just come and tell, oh, mom, dad, either
random. The most random story ever.
He saw a bird with something out there, and I'm like, and hold down in your pocket. I'll first give you all the characters, and then I'll come back and give you how we used to circumvent them. Right? That's the first character. The second character I call Gang, the manipulator, and this one is child 1. And what will happen? Maybe I'm trying to dole out some consequences, what we call consequences, for actions that he has taken, and instead of focusing on what happened or what he did,
deflects.
No, this is what deflecting. Not talking about his feelings. I really don't understand what he's feeling right now. He's feeling this.
His feelings.
And I'm like,
Okay.
All right, that's 2. The last one is what I call the comparer. And this one could be either child 1 or 2. And this typically happens when only one parent is there. And I'll give you an example. I said, but mom doesn't do this like this. I want you to do it the way mom does, And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I leave what I'm trying to do, and I get into this angry spot that, why don't you guys just leave me alone to take care of this in the way I know that I'm not your mom, I'm I'm here now. So those are the 3 characters that come in, and now I'll share how we typically circumvent all of them. I'll go with the first one. So for the interrupter, and I had to learn this, the culture that I'm coming from, parents assume that kids were supposed to be seen but not heard, and so if that kind of thing growing up, don't be surprised if you got some type of physical discouragement to live there. My physical discouragement interprets that how you mean, but with child 1, I smile and I say, mom and I are having a really very interesting discussion right now, but hold that thought. As soon as we're finished with this, I'll come back to you and you can tell me all about it. And what typically happens on and I know this is this, and how I know this is some type of play. When I'm now done the conversation and I come back to them, either, oh, I can't remember what I want to tell you about, or, oh, don't worry about it, and I'm like, you have the floor, you have the stage now, but all of a sudden you are not there.
So I think one thing with that one though is something that we are actively trying to teach, because impulsivity is a thing, right? Like, I want what I want and I want it right now, right? And that's really what happens sometimes with some types of neurodivergence, right? Where it's like the brain just wants to, like, screw up. I'm thinking about this thing. Everybody around me must hear it, right? And it's like, not really, you kind of have to be able to, at least hold that thought, like it said, and just recognize, I always talk about to them social awareness, look
Reading
around and see, right? If people are talking, and I always put it of put it back on them. Like if you are talking to your best friend and you're talking and talking, if somebody came and interrupted you, would you like that? Would you, be happy? And then they will say no. So I said, okay, so think about that when you are tempted to interrupt people. So it's an ongoing thing in our house and in our social circles.
So, child, the second example, the manipulator.
For that one, I just say, don't deflect. I don't even try to, dance around the bush. It's like, don't deflect. Let's finish having the conversation we're having, and then we can have another conversation about your feelings. He's a very feeling child. I love him for it. At least the fact that they can talk to you about their feelings is wonderful, right?
That's
as adults, it's even had enough, talk less of them. So yeah, but it's like you can come to me with your feelings at any time, but not when we're reprimanding you or talking about something that didn't go well. So it's always that. I don't know, maybe it's something they learned at this stage from school or something. They mean to say, your teacher said don't do your homework. He said, they were bullying me in the school. I'm like,
how are you two related?
Why did you tell me they were bullying you all this while? Like, I'm just, obviously, I'm just using it as an example. Like, you throw, there's a proverb that says, what did I lift up from the ground and what are you throwing, right? So let's say it's like, all these fallacious arguments, right? I'm trying to say something, then you throw me off course completely, where it's like, wow, where did I even start? Where was I? Right? So yeah, that's why he's calling the manipulator, because if you start talking about feelings and this and that, then I will leave everything I'm doing and say, let's finish the conversation we're having now, and continue, and don't do that to your dad or anybody, right? So just don't play tricks in that sense.
So the last one that I want to talk about, the comparer. So with this one, I've had to learn to not throw my spouse under the bus, and I don't mean that verbally. I'm not saying that your mom does this, your mom knows she shouldn't do that. Even though sometimes that might happen, but I've known that these kids, even from my facial expressions, I'm frowning, I'm squinting, I'm this thing, or I get uptight. They're like, okay, this is working. I'm pitching, not consciously, pitching one person against the other person. So I've learned to, mom says this is how mom does it. Okay, let's do it that way. Let's do it mom's way and see. And if it works, we'll keep it. If it doesn't work, we'll do my way also. And they're like, sometimes it backfires. So they try to circumvent. Well, mom does this way. Sometimes it backfires that mom really didn't say that too. But me and her have to be on the same But learning not to react and what to respond in that, okay, what is the truth here and what can I do to push things forward?
So it's interesting because you may listen and say, why are they talking about parenting? It's because everyone has different parenting styles, right? And it could be based on what you brought in from your own family of origin, how you think children should be raised. And this is a very, very sore point sometimes between couples. And so the idea is, you can learn from one another in parenting style. Why do you do that way? Why do you talk to these children and not stand your ground, or why are you negotiating with them, things like that. So it makes for a shared understanding of each other's parts, especially for things that are not deal breakers. And I feel like everything cannot be 0 to 100. This is just me as a person. It could be, another person may not think that way, but again, you can already see some differences just in our conversation, that everything cannot be 0 to 100, otherwise they will not be taking you serious. This is my own point of view, that when you then raise your voice and say hey, they will pay attention. But if every time you're saying hey, you become like the boy who cried wolf, and these children have read this story, so they totally understand the analogy, right? In that sense, even if they didn't, they know, because they will wait until it gets to DEFCON 4 sometimes, just to push your buttons, right? Because that's what children do. But if you kind of have that thing of conversation, and they see you people even talking about, I don't want to say about them, but about their tricks, right? in front of them, it becomes a thing where they know we can't really hide from these people, right? In that sense. So you then have shared camaraderie over them. Like there's something when they're trying to be silly, I just say something like, don't be devious, right? Stop being so devious, and then everybody will burst out laughing. So when dad will come and say, deviousness, everyone kind of already understands, what we are talking about, right? And then we can have the conversation in that sense, right? So it's just this thing of knowing the different tricks that children can play against you, right? In that sense. Obviously, we're not even going to go at the big one in the room, which is that if someone says no, then the other party inadvertently is going to be saying no, except there's a reason not to, which you can then talk between yourselves. But knowing these little things, knowing that many of them are not deal breakers, you can talk about it, right? And you can actually even expose, right, the tricks to say, hey, we know about your tricks and we're not falling for it. Like we as a couple are not necessarily falling for it, right? So I think that's kind of it, that you can have fun on the parenting journey, right? You can have fun with them, with your spouse, and just together as a family. And I don't think we talk about this enough. It's always do this, do that. They're always telling people what to do. But if you think about from a vision point of view, what is the dynamic we want to set in our household, right? Between us as a couple and between us and the children, right? If you say, okay, this is a place where we have fun, mistakes are not the end of the world, right? Mistakes are tolerated, and we talk about things, then each person knows how they would walk through that, and also they'll see you people practicing it, right? I wanted to also add to the fact that only one person talked about comparing, because maybe there's no comparison when the children are with me. I don't know. So tell me.
No, I think they know which trick works for which parent. So I'm going to leave it at that. But just something that I also want to throw, that you kind of alluded to that, as in there's a lot of fun. Forget this manipulator. There's a lot of fun here, and we try and have fun time with them. And okay, this is fun time, family time, play time, but also allude some fun time for us, because if the relationship is good here, parenting gets a little bit easier. And then so you're not you don't feel judged, you don't feel so when the relationship, and I think they've got to pick that up, that I can't have two of them the same because they're going to agree, or something like that, or they're not going to disagree. So that's what we have for you for this week.
And that's how we are rounding up the parenting month, right? On a much, I would say, lighter, fun note, right? To say that like we said at the beginning, children are a blessing, and they come into our lives for different reasons, right? We literally just had a whole masterclass on this, and if you want to get the recording, right, just click the link below and we'll send it right into your inboxes. But yes, there are so many benefits that children bring into our lives, and not just from the perspective of parenting, but from the perspective of coupling, which is another C for you as couples. So
from our couch to yours, bye for now.